Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the channel, coming back again to give us a watch. We really appreciate it. You know, if you watched this video and you liked it, you should give us a like. That would be really cool. Hey, and if you're not subscribed, you should consider subscribing because we have a lot of cool stuff like this. Gun reviews, gun videos, shooting, lots of cool stuff. And you should really check out some of the videos that we've done recently because they're pretty cool. Anyway, what we have here today, you know, if you've seen the previous videos, you've seen we had the DP12, bullpup, twin tube, twin barrel shotgun. We had the UTS-15, dual tube, single barrel, bullpup, 12 gauge shotgun. And we never had the original KSG, frankly, because we didn't really care for it. But we got this, the big boy, the KSG-25. Why is it called 25? Well, you probably guess it holds 25 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge shells. Now there's some speech around there, talk around there on the internets that this thing will actually hold 40 mini shells. I don't know why you buy a mini shell, it seems ridiculous, but anyway, this thing will hold them. So we finally got a KSG-25, you know, KSG. We just wanted a KSG. Talked a few maybe not so nice words about this gun in the past. How this kind of somewhat defeats the purpose of a bullpup shotgun just because it is so damn long. I mean, really not too long when you think about comparing it to a regular shotgun. It's not that long, but for a bullpup shotgun that's supposed to save you, you know, length and be more easier to maneuver around, you know, having this extra on here doesn't really make too much sense. But if you want to have a lot of ammo out of one of these, I guess that's what you have to do. So not only do you get much longer feed tubes, you actually get much longer barrels too, which theoretically should make this thing more accurate, I guess. So anyway, not gonna lie, when we first got this thing, this isn't the first time we've shot this. You'll see some shooting footage here in this video in a moment. It's not the first time we shot this thing. We did mess around with it quite a bit when we first got it, and to be honest, we had a lot of problems. We actually had to break into here and see what was going on because it just was like not wanting to feed right. It wouldn't actually grab the shells. It was weird. And sometimes it would grab one, miss the next one, grab the next one, miss the next one. It was like every other one. Very weird. We thought it was just one tube. Then we found out no, it was different tubes. Then all of a sudden one tube started to do well and then the other one was bad. So we eventually broke into it and don't really know what was wrong. I mean, we pretty much took it all apart, put it back together, and it seemed to run better. And maybe at that point it was just user error, not too sure. As you're probably well aware if you know about KSGs, you're probably aware that, and yes, this gun is on safe. It is unloaded. So one thing I'll give them is that this slide release is nicely located and it is ambidextrous up here. So anyway, I'm going to actuate it for a second. Now you will notice that there's not too much slide travel. And you will also notice that on the surface, this slide looks pretty long, but it's really not. Look how much overlaps, you know, from here to here, overlaps the trigger guard. So you really only have, if you have a normal sized hand, this amount of room to grab it. Now, what's nice about this one is that you don't have to worry about getting your fingers friggin' blown off holding it way up here. That's why a lot of guys will have a vertical grip mounted here, which you can. It's got a nice rail. Most people are going to mount something like that. We don't have that, unfortunately, but you know, if you're holding it like this, yeah, that's always the thing. Oh, you get your fingers blown off, you don't hold it right. Well, on this, it's not a problem. You got another foot to protect you. So that's kind of cool. I believe this is stamped, pretty sure. All the metal that's on here. I mean, it's reasonably well built when you kind of use it. I mean, this thing seems pretty ergonomical. I mean, the safety technically is ambidextrous. The bolt release is ambidextrous. And technically the ejection port, which is down here, is ambidextrous. It just comes out right on the bottom. So nothing flying across your face if you're left-handed like on the UTS-15. Decently generous butt pad here. I mean, this actually, for being so, it is quite heavy for what it is. Now, unfortunately, we don't have our extremely fragile and ancient scale here to test the weight. Really sorry about that. But this does weigh, a decent amount over regular KSG just because it's extra barrel, extra tubes, extra weight. And you would think that it would make it not kick very well, but it seemed like this thing still kicked a decent amount, even on birdshot. And the cool thing about this and the UTS-15 is like when your face is right up here when you shoot, you can literally hear all the springs and like all the stuff going on in the gun when you shoot and rack. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, we have just these little flip-up sights sighted in pretty good here. There is a little bitty rail here that you could mount a sight up there if you want, depending on how you like your sight radius. But we found this worked okay. Maybe if you're a little bit taller possibly and you had a butt extender, you maybe want to mount these up. I don't know. So anyway, we found that worked pretty good for us. A lot of people mount scopes on these things. We could have, but we had these nifty sights, so we just put these on. Worked pretty good. This gun's not incredibly hard to break down, especially to just get in over here. There's just a couple of push pins over here, so you can access this area, but we're not going to actually take it apart. Unlike some of the other guns, you're really limited on this thing. Well, not really. I mean, it has so much ammo. Let's say on a normal KSG, you're limited to just shooting 1 tube at a time. Then you have to manually switch it. There is a little toggle switch back here, and you have to switch it yourself. But you can't do both barrels simultaneously. You can't just pull all out of one side, then it'll automatically pull out the other side. Doesn't work like that. You have to manually switch it yourself, which isn't that big of a deal. So you kind of have to count, make sure you know when you're going to run out, so you can just quickly go back there and flip it, or else you're just going to sit there, rack it, pull the trigger, and look like a D-bag. So anyway, that's one thing, which it would be really cool if you could shoot 25 in a row. That would be pretty awesome. But, whatever, you can't. No big deal. You still get literally, 12? And then you have to switch it if that's not enough. So it is a little bit tight in here, so you don't want to wear gloves. Most likely you're going to get it stuck on the shell when you're pushing them in. It is kind of tight in there, so probably gloves isn't the best idea to be loading this with. The other thing I do want to say about this is that it definitely seems to be fidgety with ammo that isn't brand new or made in the last decade. If you have a big bucket of all these old rounds, shells that you've accumulated or from your grandpa, probably not the best idea to run it through this thing. It might do reasonably well with some of it, but you're probably going to expect a hang-up or two, which isn't bad. If you're shooting old crap ammo or random stuff. These are a little bit more complex, have a lot more moving parts than your typical Remington 870, Mossberg 500, which is okay because they offer this incredible extra capacity. You're going to have to expect that there might be some drawbacks about it. And in some of the shooting footage that we're going to show you, you will see me when I'm racking it, I kind of move my hand out of the way a little bit down here. And that's just because you have to rack this pretty decently hard to make sure that you eject the round completely and pick up a new one soundly. Because believe it or not, we actually did have a lot of problems racking a new one in and there was nothing there and you get a click. Now, probably user error, but that's one thing that I wish wasn't so complicated with these things. A lot of people will say, if you have hangups with the KSG or the UTS or DP2, whatever, it's your fault, it's user error. And yeah, that might be true. That probably is true. But that just goes to show you how if you want these things to run perfectly, you really have to run them perfectly. You have to, make sure you don't miss a single shuck when you're racking one in. You want to make sure that everything is, you don't want to limp wrist it at all. You don't want to give it any excuses. You have to basically handle it perfectly to expect it to run perfectly, which is not the case with a lot of other guns out on the market. That's okay. This isn't your average everyday gun. I'm not quite sure what the heck this would be practical for, to tell you the truth. I still see these twin-fed bullpup shotguns as more of a novelty. I could see maybe some type of police and military wanting to use them. It seems to have kind of a short action, and really look at this. It just feels awfully short, and it's so close. It's odd because it's so close to your face, it feels like I mean, your hand's getting awfully close to the trigger group there. It's just odd. Like it, and I could see the draw of the regular KSG because it is so small, which does make it kind of cool. But I mean, this thing's giant. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it did shoot pretty well. We had the sights on target pretty good, and as much crap as we talk about it, and how I don't want to shoot it, don't want anything to do with it. It actually did run okay in the footage that we're going to show you. We actually tried. I don't know. I'm not going to say we tried to make it malfunction, but it just malfunctioned so much before, and then today we actually had some success with it. So you're going to get to see that in a minute. I guess we'll get in close with this thing just to show you a few little features. Okay, so we're in here a little bit closer now. Now, one of the things I want to show you is right in here. I don't know if you could see that, but there is the little selector lever. Now, you can put it in the middle, but you really can't load or do anything while it's in the middle. I'm not sure why it even does that. So, essentially, you're going to block off one tube, and then you just block off the other one. That's which tube you're gonna fire. But yeah, so you'll see in there the I don't know if you can really see, but you can see the bolt carrier up in there, and we'll see. And then if you rack it all the way, you'll see the elevator come out, and we'll pick up a shell. It's going to spit one out, pick it up, rack it in. Now, see how hard I just did that? That's because I'm used to doing that really hard on this thing. Now, there is a somewhat generous butt pad here on the back. Like I said, for some reason, this thing seems to kick a decent amount, even with the butt pad and how heavy it is. So, we got your little ambi bolt release down there. And you can see what I was talking about. I mean, there's just a big gap here. So, I mean, I don't have really big hands at all. And, I mean, you really can't really adjust your grip too much over here like you can on some other guns. And speaking of the grip, it seems to be, there's not a lot of play here. It seems that this gun is actually built with some pretty decent build quality and tolerance. I really like the polymer on this thing. There's not too much of it. This barrel guard is metal like it should be, so that's nice. The polymer really does feel durable and strong. There's not a lot of stuff I can easily bend, which I really like. And as I said, to really access here and get all in here, there's just two push pins right there. And you will need some further tools, I believe, to take this down a little bit, but you can easily access and get the buttstock off and access and clean your bolt and stuff like that in there. It's not too bad of a deal. But yeah, I really was impressed by how durable this polymer felt, which I really like. And obviously, as you can see, there's that rail down there where you'll mount something. We got your teeny little rail up here. Kind of like that. It's kind of cool that they did that. I mean, they really couldn't extend it over here, I guess. But yeah, I mean, this thing, after everything, I think this is probably somewhere around like $1,200, I believe. Well, I think it's supposed to retail somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm not sure about today's pricing in 2022, or if you can even find one of these. We of course got this at auction, so whatever. I mean, that's but really not too bad of a deal. I think you get a regular KSG, or you used to be able to get them for just a hair under like $800. They probably usually see them for around $1,000, which is not. I mean, that's kind of like over retail, but so you have to make that decision, I guess, for yourself. Is the extra $400 to $500 worth having double the capacity? I would say no, but that's up to you. That's up to the buyer, I guess, to decide. So that's about all we have to show up close. And next thing you're going to see is how this thing performed out on the range at the compound. You're actually not going to see a bunch of malfunctions, which actually looks really good. Probably made us look bad because we had all these problems earlier and talked a bunch of crap about it, and it ended up running okay. So hopefully you learned something and stick around for...
Hi, how are you? I hope you're well. I'm not. And part of that reason is because, unfortunately, this is a day that I've been hoping wouldn't come for at least a very long time, but now it has. Have to shoot the KSG-25, and that means that it basically is a KSG, and really don't like them. Don't like this one, at least. But we're gonna take a couple shots with it and see how it runs. I have almost no faith that everything will go well, and a lot of you say, you know, operator error. Well, how could it be operator error when every single time it has issues with good ammo, bad ammo, whatever, old ammo, new ammo? So we're gonna try see what it does today. So I will begin the tedious process of loading this thing. Very painful process indeed. Alright, put my ear protection on and see if this thing functions. Doesn't really matter which tube it is. Let's switch it anyway. Alright. Should probably move up, huh? Did one go in? I hope. Had to switch the tube. Try it again. No. Man, that bottle does not want to quit. Still hanging in there. We got another one? We do. Alright. So surprisingly, it actually didn't malfunction at all. Operator error. I didn't put the, well, I didn't rack one in at first. Actually, it wasn't the gun's fault this time, surprisingly. Can't wait to tell you about all the other times it was the gun's fault. But, you know, the thing is, you probably kept seeing me moving my hand. That's because if, you know, with this short, well, imagine the regular KSG cutting off right here. This is kind of a short action, you know, to really be racking it. So you have to make sure you really go all the way back to ensure that you pick up a new round. Because of that, you're going to want your hand right here giving it support. But because you have to rack it back quickly, usually that other shell is firing out at your wrist. And that's why I kept kind of going like this to rack it, because repeated use, that actually kind of hurts. It actually kind of hurts more than after like one, because you have to do it so hard. So I really don't like that. Other than that, that was crazy. That's probably the only time ever shot this where it had pretty much zero malfunctions. And I know I didn't fill it up all the way, usually because there's no point because it malfunctions. But that's cool, so I guess we'll take a few more shots with this and see.
Seriously, at Kel-Tec, you guys need to get your priorities straightened out, because this is, compared to the DP12 and the Utah's 15, I mean, this is just not good. Sorry, but it's not. This is painful. I had to take off my damn glove because I got stuck. Alright, so now I'm going to try to rapid fire it to see if same kind of story as our other video you may have seen with the Utahs, where you might have you know, somebody coming at you and you unload your Kel-Tec, your poorly made shotgun. So now let's give this shot. Safety's on, so I'm gonna give it the old rackaroo. Can't tell if anything's in there, so I'm just gonna hope there is. See, disappointment haunts my dreams because of a gun like this. So I think what I have to do is pop it back into the old, well, never mind there. Let's see. Oh, well, safety's not on, so let's give this a try. Let's do the old switcheroo. Rack it again. Alright, well, here's the thing. So, it did not load the first shot, and especially if you have somebody like running at you and you're freaking out and you grab your incredibly long UTAS, or this is not a UTAS, it's a Kel-Tec. And that guy's also, he's still standing. I think he's got a couple holes in him, but he can still run at me and steal my KSG-25. Use this like a broom. I mean, you could really batter somebody with this. I think that's probably a better utility for it than shooting it. It's just beating somebody ugly with this. So
Okay, so in a previous video we saw that the UTS-15 only like to use new ammo, or modern ammo, late model ammo, not stuff from 20 years ago or 10 years ago. I've loaded one tube up here in this thing with just an assortment of shells, old, new, I don't even know what they are, and we'll see how it likes it. So it is all loaded, it's on safe. I will now rack one in and attempt to fire the gun. I do believe one went in. That's good news. Alright. Well, surprisingly, it handled the ammo pretty well. The UTS-15 probably definitely wouldn't have done that. I'm actually really surprised at this loading all that stuff. I mean, we had, I think I even had like a cardboard cartridge in there or something like that, or like a paper. I don't know what it was. Yeah, that was interesting. Kind of impressed right now, I'm not gonna lie. So I think we'll put a couple more in here and take some more shots.
alright, so we put a few different varieties of shells in. So we have, you can tell they're all going to be different, and we're going to see if it can shoot all 5 rounds without getting stuck or having any malfunction. So we're going to try to prove our point. Whoop. Alright. Safety's on. We're gonna rack it. Whoa. Alright, ready? Let's see what happens. Alright, we got one problem. Let's see. Oh, I know it smells funny. Well, I guess the debate remains whether that was user error or if that was the gun. I like to think I racked it fully, but I'm not really sure. So I guess we'll have to find out, huh? So I hope you're listening, Kel-Tec, and thank you for selling that to somebody and then allowing me to repurchase it at auction for an incredibly fair price. All right, keep it real, kids.
Alright. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks again for tuning into the channel and giving us a watch. Really appreciate it. Hey, if you like the video, be